and welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I will be your host today. How's everybody doing? We got anybody in the chat yet? Not yet, but that's okay. Guess who we do have? We have Ben, and Ben is on mute.
Oh, man. I know, Bird. Yeah, I know. You told us already. He's very boisterous today.
Can he hear me?
Let's see here if I can make him. Let's try. Where's speakers? Can you say something?
Bird!
Oh, let's see. How's audio? Aha, here it is. Speakers.
Oops. Got to mute this. There we go.
Okay. Now try it.
Bird! 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 Bird!
Well, he is an interesting creature, that's for sure.
So yeah, it's been raining like it's going to wash the place away all day. We even had a little bit of hail for just a little bit. And the electricity popped off for just a little bit. It's an exciting day.
Oh my goodness. But I'm glad you're not. I don't mind rain, but yeah, hail is where it gets nasty.
You're here.
Okay. I'm here.
I thought you were getting ready to head out of town.
I actually leave tomorrow morning, so okay. I am getting ready. I've got my bag and everything off to the side here, and I called via rail because I was like, oh my God, I'm so concerned I'm going to have to pay for an extra bag because I really want to take my laptop to do some work while I'm gone. Well, at least on the trip, not so much while I'm gone, but like something to occupy the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I called them and they're like, no, you're fine. You're allotted like one medium bag and one small bag. I'm like, oh, well, these are both small bags. Perfect.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you're here. Yeah. I didn't expect to see you today, so I'm glad. I'm glad we get to.
And I'm going to try and be here on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is the one that's a little bit iffy, and it really depends. I will message if I'm unable to make it. If we're driving around and stuff, but if we're driving around, I might even just show you guys the conservations and stuff that we are at. And it's beautiful in that area. It's really beautiful.
Right on. Hi, Tara.
Hi. I'm doing all right. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
Good. How's everybody?
We haven't washed away, so that's something. Hi, Sandy Wandy.
And I can't share details, but I prepared myself for the worst today. And I got a ton of really positive information, positive outlook. Things are still going to take a while on every aspect of the situation, but I was happy crying earlier. So I wanted to share that because the last time I was talking about it, I was sad crying. So I was happy crying today and got a ton of positive information. Just, I wanted to share that with you guys. Like, thank you so much for the love and support to help me through to the trip because it really helped. It really did. Good. I know I did a lot of the work, but still the positive vibes, I truly believe is part of that.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're not heartbroken right now, that you're happy.
Yeah. And it was an early finish too. We finished at lunch. So it was like, oh, I get to go walk for a coffee, take my time, you know. It was kind of a nice finish to the day. So, and it's super sunny here. Super sunny and warm. So I'm excited. Everything felt good. It was good.
That's great. Hello, Mayonnaise Entertainment. Hello, Nancy Bunch. Good to see you guys. How's everybody doing today? Has anybody else got rain going on like crazy? Hello, Monique.
No, it's sunny here too today.
Right on.
You said you're getting washed out?
It was a heavy duty rain. In fact, it's the first time the pond is filled up this year.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
Completely filled up. My pond won't hold water, but it will fill up.
So is that a good thing, or is that
No,
like,
it's not a good thing. We've got to
not a
figure it
good
out,
thing?
something out.
Is that like a flood drain off basically for you?
Yeah, it is actually. We did
Okay.
French drains off of the barn roof, and it drains
Yes.
into the pond.
Makes
Because
sense.
that side of the barn, the way when they did the pad for the barn, they went down into the ground, and so there's a lot of seepage during rains and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Part of it is not underground, it because it's so sloped. So, but the
But
part
the
that's
part that
underground,
is.
yeah. And it used to be a lot worse. The French drains have helped. Hello, Kevin Hawthorne. So yeah, the French drains have helped, and it does take the water down into the pond. But yeah, it's the first time we've had enough rain. We've had enough rain to get the grass growing. We've had to mow 2 or 3 times already, but it has not been enough rain to really help the water table per se. So I'm happy to see the rain. My goats were not
Yeah.
happy at all.
No. Probably not. They're probably screaming right now.
They actually finally discovered the far barn where they could get some shelter.
Oh, okay, good.
I kept trying to lead them there, and they just were not getting it. If we stay here, we stay dry.
How about the
Makes sense.
pig? Does the pig like the rain?
It doesn't seem to bother him too bad. I think he'd rather be dry, but
Hmm.
he'll get out there in it. He's no wuss. So what's new?
I'm excited for a vacation tomorrow.
I know
My
I'm
version of
excited for you.
vacation for the situation. That's all. That's all that's
I'm
going on
excited
here.
for you. I'm really excited for you.
And I'm kind of grateful that the plan switched from rental car to train, because that means that I can not have to focus on other people on the road and just sit, and I'll have time to work on the things that I feel like I have fallen behind on.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's new with you, Tara?
My head is spinning right now. I'm just like, I went from being, kind of cruising along, like feeling comfortable with life and like settling into the new place, to being super busy. And I'm starting this peer support agency, and I'm just like, man, I have my work cut out for me. I'm super psyched about it. I'm really,
Right
really
on.
excited. It's just, I'm realizing how much I've sort of bitten off. And now I'm like, man, it's hard to talk with all this in my mouth. You know what I mean? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is it something that you can build kind of slowly, or do you think it's just going to hit all at once? Or
I could definitely build it slowly, but I'm an engineer by training. And so it's like, I can't help but be like, I just want to get this all done. I just want to get this all done right now. But I know, I am limited because my test, it's going to be a week or 2 before I can take that. And that's sort of a limiting factor for me right now. I have to get through that before I can actually become a Medicare or Medicaid, provider. And so, but I'm trying to like nail down a name and a color palette, and the color palette. Excuse me. I'm so hung up on the color palette right now. And it's super exciting, but I've never had to pick out a color palette before. And it seems like kind of a big deal.
Okay.
So it's all exciting. There's nothing serious going on here. It's fun. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
Have you looked into what colors? Hey, Brazy girl, good to see you. Have you looked into what colors elicit what emotions?
Yes. Yeah. The business consultant that I met with yesterday, she recommended, or she sent me some resources, and I did some of my own research. And I think I've decided kind of like the direction that I'm going to go, but there's seemingly infinite number of shades of every single color. So even though I've limited it down, it's like still, and I'm trying to use nature as my inspiration. And so I have several photographs that I've chosen that I really like the colors, and I'm trying to pull colors and kind of experiment with making my own palettes. But that's, I'm not trained in color design or marketing or anything like that. So I was educating myself on creating my own color palettes today and learning about all the different types that exist and trying to figure out the best combination. But it's like, it's just not quite right,
Yeah.
So I'm like, is this some, I don't really want to use something that I find online that's I could use that for inspiration, but I kind of really want to create something on my own, or have somebody design something for me based on my own art, like photographs that I've taken, because I think that'll mean something to me. And so it's going to be a process. I think I just want it all done now.
Mayonnaise Entertainment. Hey, does anyone else have a hard time with Fridays and it's getting nice outside, seeing people more out, wanting to drink, it's getting harder to avoid? Are you around a lot of drinkers?
That is one thing and I don't have a problem drinking, but that is one thing that's been crossing my mind a lot. It's like, this reminds me of cooking out with my older brother and drinking beer and, doing this. And, I should go. And it's like, wait a minute, where's this coming from? I'm not trying to quit, but it's one of the things I'm trying to abstain from, just because I see how much harm it's caused in so many people's lives.
Yeah.
And there's still the off chance. I mean, because I'm not one now after how many years, who's to say I won't magically become one? I don't know how that works. I haven't really dug in.
It's one of those things, you might be fine for 110 times, but that 111th time, you may not be. It may start you down that slippery slope. I don't know how it works either. If I did, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this chair because I'd be able to drink.
Yeah.
So I find as soon as the warm weather comes, now this is my first summer sober in a few years. So I had my massive relapse. This is my first summer sober. And for me, patio culture, having that nice cold, beer in my hand, sitting on the patio, enjoying the weather, I'm not going to be able to push myself like I was in the winter. And I can feel that happening already. Like I was able to go to pubs and have a couple mocktails and enjoy that, but I can already feel it. It's going to be a bunch of people having fun around me, and I'm going to be like, I want to partake in that fun, but I'm not going to be able to separate. I can't drink, and I don't need to drink to have fun.
Yeah.
Right. So
are you? Is that meeting that you're having to go to? I think it's on Tuesdays. Are there some sober people you can kind of hit up to go out and do the things that people like to do when they,
I can hit them up, and then I'm actually a little bit closer to them now. So where I was before, I was an hour and a half away from them, and now I'm only 45 minutes away from them because I needed to use an office that had English speaking counselors. And where I was, there was no English speaking counselors. And where I am, it's the same situation. So I can definitely go and hang out with them, and I can even go back to the town where I was at and hang out with my friend there, Sabrina. That would be wonderful. I'm thinking about maybe going for a weekend, but my custody stuff might be changing. I'll find out for sure in 3 weeks. So I'll get like 1 weekend a month instead of 2, which is wonderful.
Whoa.
Interesting.
My goodness.
Wow.
This happened yesterday on Christy's channel too. Okay, we're back.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's my interwebs and the storm or what.
Yeah, that's
Or it could
interesting
have
because
been, it
because
could
it
have
killed
been
the
me.
background.
Yeah.
It killed the background
Oh,
too,
it
which
sure
is
did. Yeah, we ran
which
into
would,
that one other time that the screen just went blank and then the background was gone. Yeah,
Oh.
I know.
Gotta
Yeah.
keep it interesting somehow.
Well,
Right, right.
technical issues is always a good way to keep it interesting.
Mhm.
Let's
maybe
see
it's
if
just
it'll let me.
Mercury saying, "Hey, I'm still around." You know,
Yeah,
could help.
maybe so.
The
Yeah, we've had
shadow.
other time. There it is. I got it back.
Yeah.
Hubbard.
Yeah, and it'll be so alcohol. Like before my last relapse, I was still using alcohol. I didn't quite recognize at that point that I had an alcohol problem, but I do recognize it now. So for me, I think it was Mayonnaise that had said it was alcohol and hard drugs. For me, festivals was exactly my issue. I'm going to be avoiding this year. I'm playing the avoidance game this year because I've quit too many things, and I wish I had an answer on how to make it easier, but avoidance seems to be my answer.
You know, I actually bookmarked the part in Smart Recovery where it's given you where it's given you tools. Managing thoughts. And this chapter will guide you through the techniques that can help you change your automatic thinking patterns. As you begin to think about the world differently, your emotions and behaviors will also change. Adopting unconditional acceptance can be the key to overcoming emotional problems associated with addictive behaviors. This can also be a life skill that will help you long after your addictive behavior is behind you. Although it's debatable whether or not it ever really does. Unconditional acceptance is something we already know, but for it to become a personal philosophy, you may have to learn to recognize your unhelpful beliefs you automatically hold when an unpleasant and unexpected things happen in your life. Once you spot these in your thinking, you can remind yourself of the more ways to think. It starts reminding yourself that you are human. As such, you know that you aren't perfect and that you'll make mistakes. You'll do some things badly, do some bad things. This is all a normal part of being human. Making mistakes and failing is how we learn. As human beings, it's normal to exaggerate events that involve us. When you find yourself automatically thinking negative thoughts or exaggerating, judging how bad you are, remind yourself of your humanity and of those traits that we all share. By identifying unhelpful thoughts and replacing them with more accurate and helpful thoughts of acceptance, you'll feel better and want to act in healthier ways. After practicing this for a while, more accurate thinking will become automatic for you. Like most things, though, it takes practice. Downing beliefs. We commonly hold on to beliefs in which we put ourselves, others, and our lives down. By doing so, we may end up feeling guilty, ashamed, depressed. I messed up again. I'm a total failure. These inaccurate and exaggerating downing beliefs lead to the powerfully distressing feelings that trap you in a cycle of addictive behavior. You can choose to replace downing beliefs with these acceptance principles. I need to read through this again because there's one part that talks about how, when you're getting the urges to drink, sit with that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and don't act on it. And then, maybe the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, eventually it will pass. The urge passes. Your mind gets distracted with something else. In fact, you can even help it along by distracting it with something else. Maybe go find an electrolyte drink or something to give the body some good electrolyte stuff going in it. And
Thank you again for illustrating an example of how ADHD can actually be a superpower in that context. It's easy to distract yourself
yeah,
with things. But yeah, um, I noticed somebody has a color wheel.
Oh, yay.
So if you
So,
ever need to figure out colors, now this is a very basic one. I have one much more intricate than this, but this will help you. Like the little arrows can tell you what colors go with what. And this one has 4 different things. This is a cheapo one you probably could get for less than $5, but if you scroll it around, it'll tell you what colors go with what. And so for me, blue is one of my calm colors and happy colors. I know, shocking that I would choose blue, but you can choose it and then kind of go with what colors work with it and then choose those as accents.
nice.
Right
And
on.
then
I'll be.
color idea. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go.
I was
I
just
was just say I've been looking at a lot of color wheels, and I definitely want to get to that. I wanted to say something to mayonnaise really quick. I've got a question for mayonnaise, and that is what. First of all, I'm curious how often you've put yourself around alcohol, because I identify and can relate so much to what Stasia was saying, where I have avoided. That's been, and I'm not saying that's like the way, but it's worked for me. I have avoided situations where alcohol is going to be around. There have been situations where I could not avoid it, like family functions. There's alcohol at family reunions. I have a fundraising event coming up for the place that I've been volunteering with and now will be working for. And there's going to be alcohol there. It's a fundraiser. So like, sure, like give these people alcohol, you know? There's, in some cases, no way for me to avoid it, like the family reunions and fundraisers. But I have found for myself that if the temptation's not in front of me, the probability that I'm going to cave and do something that I don't want to do is significantly decreased. So I'm curious. Okay, so Mayonnaise says most of my family and friends all use something.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise, how often do you find yourself around alcohol? And also, I'm curious how often you find yourself having the temptation, because it sounds like temptation.
I'm curious about that too. I was wanting to ask something along that same lines. And if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been sober, and have you noticed any benefits yet? Because it took me a long time to find benefits from it. I had wrecked myself. I had wrecked my body and my mind so hard. And, you know, I wasn't seeing any rewards for those first few months, at least the first 2-3 months, you know, and it was just pure labor, you know.
Thank you so much for the reminder about the body, because it just occurred to me. I have been actually getting a little tempted, going to the store. It's
Okay.
like, okay, I don't want to drink, I definitely don't want to drink beer because of the carbs and things like that and losing weight. But yeah, now it's occurring to me, it's like, well, one of my old standbys in keto is well,
You're a little bit fuzzy.
one of my standbys when on keto and all that stuff is would be rum. But the thing is, it's like I completely forgot. It's like, yeah, I need to be taking care of my liver anyway. So it's like, yeah, that gives me another reason to not even, because that stuff is very, very hard. It's worse than the iron that's sitting in my liver right now for health. So it's like if I want to, that just gives me another excuse other than I want to do this because I have so many friends whose lives it's wrecked, and I don't want to chance addiction. It's like, yeah, that reminds me. I literally forgot that. So thank you.
She says, I've been working in home. I avoid everyone. That's tough. That is really a tough place to be. Do you have like any local peer support groups that maybe you can, have some people to not necessarily have to avoid people. I know you can come to the boat and you can come here and it's great, but you're having to work around people and avoid them. And, unfortunately, sometimes there is no avoiding sucking sobriety. Sometimes it's just going to suck. But it doesn't have to, there's always a way to find something that brings joy. Sometimes it's just a process.
And can I ask you a question, Carol?
Okay.
You mentioned the first few months when you had stopped alcohol and I don't know if you stopped drugs at the same time, but those first few months, you didn't get any benefits. Was that you just didn't feel any benefits, or was it that your body was healing and doing things you just couldn't tell yet?
Yeah, no, I couldn't tell yet. My mind was wonky. I felt so raw on the inside. It's like somebody was on the inside. I mean, just going scritch, 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 scratch, 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 scratch for years, and I did not recover from that right away. I thought that would never go away. I started to think, I'm stuck with this. Is this what life's going to be from here on, And thank goodness it wasn't, but it took a long time.
And for me, part of what helped me get past that feeling so lonely and so isolated was my mental health recovery component. It really made a huge difference in my ability to connect with people, and have the motivation and the drive to want to do that. Because before I started, I saw a series of mental health care providers people who could prescribe me mental health meds. I saw a series of people before I actually found my person, who's my nurse practitioner. She's awesome. But it took a series of people who weren't a good fit for me and meds that weren't a good fit for me. So I don't know, Mayonnaise, if you're open or if you're connected with somebody like that, or if that's a part, I don't know if your mental health recovery is a part of your story or your process. But for me, I noticed the biggest change in my wanting to do the things to foster connection with people after I got on the journey towards my mental health recovery, which for me included mental health medication.
Yeah, that's another thing with me too, is I was trying to manage mental illness with substances. I was scared of what they would prescribe for me, and you just keep reaching for stuff, hoping that there's something that, and it feels like it for a while, it feels like something's working until you wake up and it isn't, Mayonnaise Entertainment. I've been off hard drugs for 13 years and I don't drink because I won't stop. I'm good on my own. I did have to stay away from my dad to get off of hard drugs, and that was really hard.
Out of curiosity, is there anyone in the family that, because you said most of your family drinks, is there anyone in the family that doesn't, that you're close enough to that they could be kind of like a buddy for you? So maybe you go to an event. I've done this before for a couple of friends.
Partner. Yeah, they're there to make sure that you guys keep each other accountable, not to do stuff. Yeah.
And in this case, it was drinking, but it was I just said no, you can't have it. So she, part of it was needing someone to just say no, we're not going to do this. Let's have a Coke instead, or let's go dancing, or let's doing something like that instead, just to kind of help get past that and distract them. I don't know if Mayonnaise, you have somebody in your family that could do that, so that you could still do maybe some of those activities when that person was around, just to give you a little bit more of an outlet to see family. And maybe it doesn't work, but Just a
It
thought.
sounds like it's one of those days where sobriety sucks, and I get that. There are days when it's hard not to think, wish I could drink right now. Those days come, and I'm sorry you're having one of those. And I hope that they are few and far between, even with the weather warming up.
Oh no.
Also, 13 years is a really long time. That's way longer than me. I'm at the 3-year mark, and that feels like an eternity. And I still haven't returned to some of the things that brought me joy prior to me entering recovery, like surfing, for example. That is at the top of my list right now. I'm curious, Mayonnaise, if you find yourself just not wanting to do things to help you connect with people, or okay, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. Do you prefer isolation and feel lonely, or are you finding it challenging? I guess why, do you know why you're lonely? Like what?
Well, if your family and you're avoiding your coworkers, yeah,
Everybody in your life, they seem to be using something, is what it looks like.
yeah, it sounds
So
that
I would
way.
understand, if you went into avoidance mode, then you're just not disconnecting, but you're isolating from everybody at that point.
And I guess the question is I'm curious, is it the substances that you're avoiding, or is it the people? Do you know what it is that you're avoiding?
She said, yeah, it's hard sometimes. I just want to give up. Yeah.
Oh, and I just wanted to point something out that Tara reminded me of. 13 years with not being on hard drugs. Huge win. You're doing amazing.
That is huge. That's amazing.
Yeah, huge win.
You
know,
know,
celebrate that.
One thing to know is that your body has now been in a situation of not being building up a tolerance for whatever your drug of choice was. And so, it's a really dangerous climate to use right now. I don't know if that helps to hear that, but when you pair those two things with the drug climate right now, and with your body no longer having any kind of defense or tolerance against what the substance would do to it, I don't know if that helps or not, but you know what? I'm sorry to hear that it doesn't get easier.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks.
That does suck. Have you found there to be benefits to having stopped? I mean, you've been going hard at it for 13 years. The hardest thing for me is for people to convince I'm sober. People, wait.
Do you mean convince other people that you're sober?
Yeah, what does that mean?
You know what? Someone told me this a long time ago, and I love it. It helps me a lot. What other people think of me is none of my business. That helps me, because not everybody, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm learning. I'm certainly not completely where I want to be right now, but I'm learning to be okay with people just not wanting to connect with me. And maybe there's something about me that triggers them. Maybe they don't like the way I look. Who knows what it is, but it's okay. And there are a lot of people who do want to connect with me.
That's right.
I just wrote that down. I really like that. I really like that a lot.
Yeah. So
the comment that you made of them convincing other people that I'm sober, I might understand. I might relate with that. There's, for example, the last time I went to Ontario, I had to convince that person didn't want to go out to the bar. I had to place that boundary as many times as they tried to run over it. Maybe that's the convincing. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Mayonnaise, but I know that felt like convincing to me. People pushing past my boundary, like, oh, come on, it's just going to be fun anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and
I want to know specifically, Mayonnaise, what is the thing making it the hardest? Can you put your finger on it? Go ahead, Tara. Sorry.
it's gone. No, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's,
I was going to say, does Mayonnaise want to join us? Even if they don't want to be on camera, would it be helpful to join us?
Yeah, you can come on. You can come into the meeting room, and you don't have to turn on your camera. I'll put a link here if you would like to come in and have a meeting. Cosmic, do you have anything to offer?
No.
Well, how are you staying sober right now?
Not thinking about it as much as possible. Yeah, just basically not thinking about it. To be honest, I don't know if I'm going to be sober forever. Mine is and that's just being honest.
that is honest.
Because I don't think that it's something. It's right now. I'm making sure I can control it, because that was my issue, is a lack of control, and that's my issue with anything, is I lose control over something if I've lost control over my life, and right now I don't have control over my life, so it's not safe. So until, and that's something that I've got, not something to look forward to, but it's never been on my mind that I would forever be sober. And I guess that's what's helping me, because, I just don't think about it too much, because I'm like, it's just for now, because I didn't drink for years and years and years. It was never something that was huge for me. It was a situational thing, and so I know I can do it, and I know that it's an issue for other people, and 30 years I couldn't imagine it. But I can't do anything for very long. I have a very short attention span, so but I haven't really spoken about this, because I know that in a sober space it's not helpful for some.
Well, but honesty might be helpful for somebody. You never know.
I think it's really helpful, and I think your honesty is a strength here. The stages of change are different for everybody. Everybody just like grief. Everybody grieves differently. Everybody changes differently. And the fifth stage of change is extermination. And some people do choose to go back to engaging with something that was detrimental to them at one point, but they can have a healthy relationship with it moving forward. So I think it's awesome. Yeah, I don't know that it would work for me. I wish. I hope that it will work for me.
I'm pretty sure there's certain substances that people couldn't go back to, because they're incredibly detrimental. Some, like, I don't know, meth.
Sure, right. I don't know if you can ever have a healthy relationship with that one, right?
Exactly. But, that I won't judge. I have a friend who is a former meth addict, and she fights every day to not engage with that, and that's something that she and I have in common, in the fact that we're the addicts of the social friend group, but mine's a socially acceptable one. And that's something that I found.
It's legal. It's socially acceptable. In fact, it's almost socially, encouraged. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's something I struggle with.
If you don't participate.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Especially in Australia. Well, I'm sure lots of places, but Australia, the drinking culture is huge. You go anytime there's a public holiday, the day before, everyone's at the pub, at the bottle shops, or whatever you call them, liquor store. It sounds funny to say. But when you're you go there and it's just the shelves get emptied because people can't handle not being able to go to the bottle shop for one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's only one day. You know, we never close for a weekend. It's only one day. I mean, we had Anzac Day the other day, and used to be pubs would be, well, bottle shops would be closed all day. Now they're open at 1 o'clock. So it's
Wow.
just, yeah, it is what it is. But it's just like, for me, I found it really difficult being the socially acceptable addict, because people were like, oh, well, I felt like they treated her a little bit differently because hers was unacceptable, but she still had an issue. You know, there were still issues that led up to that addiction. It's not like she just one day was like, you know what, I'm just going to go do meth today, ruin my life, you know.
Yeah.
And it did. It ruined her life.
Yeah.
And it's not like I decided I was going to start drinking. Actually, I had someone else choose that for me, but I can't really talk about that either. But it's like, you know, it's just because mine's legal doesn't mean I didn't have a problem at the time as well. And that's something that we connected with, because it's not socially acceptable to be a mean alcoholic. So
That's true. That is true.
yeah,
It's like, make up your mind, society. Which is
Yeah.
it?
Well, it reminds me of, what was that? It was made into a movie, Stephen King, The Stand, where the drugs are okay, but you better not become an addict, because they'll hang you or throw you on a billboard, whatever. But one of the things I've noticed when undergoing change, I can't speak to giving up. Okay, I gave up alcohol, but I wasn't addicted to it. I mean, it's just one of those things like, do I want to drink this week? No, maybe yes. I don't know. Whatever. Um, but one thing I've noticed in major life change, when a change is needed, oftentimes when we undergo a paradigm change, things have changed around us. We often still try to approach it with the same old paradigm of the old way of looking at things. And I
Okay.
think that is why, and I know Tommy talks about this, change something in your room, change your environment. You have to kind of kickstart your brain into saying, this is not the paint the wall, do something. Signal to your body that this is a change. This is the new me. This is me version 1.1, or you could be like Tara and have like 2.0. But yeah, do something where you have to. Yes, you did. Where you're trying to signal to yourself that you've changed. It might help. It might all be gobbledygook. You take what you want and leave what doesn't, the kind of thing.
there's
I want
also
to
a
read.
thing in smart recovery where you actually say, if you have a routine about drinking, so if you get home from work, have a drink. Instead of doing that, change the spot that you would sit normally and change your routine. So
Yeah.
it's not, because a lot of it is behavior, is
Yeah. Certain
repetition,
things, bring up
Habit.
certain
habit, yeah, and
memories.
it's repetitious
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certain
So and
spots
you,
may hold a habit, you know, situation.
well, put the drinking glasses away, and do that sort of stuff. Or if you're a smoker, don't sit in that seat that you used to smoke in anymore. Like there's a whole range
Yeah.
of different things where you can change. No, you don't have to change, because some places you can't just paint a wall, but you can change where you sit, because that there can be big enough. It's just changing your behaviors from what you would normally do that caused you, well, that helped along with your addictive behaviors, because a lot of it's ritual as well.
Yeah.
Especially, say, I'm sure Tara knows this, if you're smoking all that, if you're cannabis, a lot of times there's a ritual around it, and then
Yeah.
if you move away
Yep.
from that, change the spot, get rid of all the ritual objects, you'll find that it's a lot easier to not get into that same behavior. Although it takes a while, because I don't know, to break a habit's like 21 days or something. So yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not like I'm just saying, this is so simple. It's not. It's really not, and it's a struggle. And I haven't come across anyone who said it was easy.
That's true. That's true.
It's a
Yeah.
go
Some
ahead.
days are easier than others.
That is true.
That's true.
Well, it's also an example of I was talking about earlier, scripts, or some people call them, or in neurologists call them procedural memory. And if you think you don't use scripts or procedural memory, how often when you tie your shoes do you really have to think about it? How many times when you're putting on your belt do you have to say, okay, I'm going through this loop, I'm going through this loop? That is an example of a script. Your brain knows, I'm going to run this now so I can free up power to think about whatever. The bird that won't shut up because he's got issues. Ah,
See,
wanna read some of these
my life
comments.
is run by scripts.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'll just, I run my life. I was talking about it the other day. Everything I do is scripted, and I do it
Wow.
knowing that I'm doing it, like, because I
Wow.
have to. Because to say I'm going into a situation, like a social situation, I script how it's going to go. Like when I walk into the situation, I script it in my head before I go, and then I've got little scripts for every possible little situation that could happen, and it's something I've been doing my entire life because that's what's kept me safe.
Okay.
So I run through the same things that keep me safe. Running, when I walk in a room, I read the room, sort of thing. Everything is scripted. A lot of it's got to do with my neurodivergencies and being autistic, because it's something that I've just done. I don't know why I do it. There is some reason why autistic people do it, but it's just something that I do consciously every day. And it's something I had to do, especially when I was becoming sober, is going into social situations. I had to script out what I was going to say if someone was going to offer me a drink. A lot of times I'd be like, no, thanks, I've already got one, or it's all right, I've got water, or whatever. There was a whole bunch of different scripts I had to play in my head before I got to the situation so that I was prepared. It's all about preparation.
Yeah.
So
Monique, is he talking to Monique? I quit for almost 6 years ago, not wanting to be the girl who could outdrink a small Canadian village. I'm still the girl who used to drink a lot to so many, or I'm the sober girl too. And Izzy, the next one is, we are so much more than this. We are whole human beings. We are people. Izzy E, it would be nice to be seen for us, not what we did or what we used to be. Hugs. That's Plant Freak. Monique says, when it was me, they still think I was under the influence. When in fact it was agoraphobia. Wow. Izzy E, we are and stronger than the addiction. Name allows people to realize we are, I feel. I thought those were great. I wanted to read those. Izzy E, Plant Freak, I never got the reflex of putting people in little boxes and categories. You are a wonderful person inside and out, and I miss our chats. Izzy E, I miss them too when I get back. Anyway, sorry, I didn't allow it to scroll because I wanted to get those ones out there.
All good.
I like mayonnaises. His second to most recent comment. You guys are the most people I've ever seen sober in one place. That's cool.
That is
I think
really
that's
cool.
awesome.
Wow. That makes
And
it
we're
all
glad you're
harder.
here with us.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm glad that you're opening up and talking about it too, because holding it in isn't
Yeah,
easy to hold it in and not have some sort of release for it.
Yeah, it takes away a lot of the power of it a lot of times. It's really hard. I was raised in this life. It's all I have known. Well, you're doing amazing things right now. 13 years from coming from when it's all you knew. Do you know how amazing that is?
That's breaking cycles
For
right
real.
there.
It's really hard for me to
Yeah.
wrap my head around. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, it is. Really impressive. And the next one is, that makes it all the harder to change. Yeah, it does. But you're doing it. You've been doing it. And, it just happens to be one of those days when it sucks to do it. But, it's not as dangerous to suck being sober.
Right. I've had so much less drama, less things happen. I haven't gotten into any serious trouble with the police.
People chuckle after.
Sure, some days are hard, but there's so many more pros. When I really think about it, there's so many more pros. And I was just I hosted a meeting on Discord on Thursday nights, and there was somebody in there, I won't name their name, but somebody in there talking about how they returned to a drug of choice and how they don't even feel good about it when they engage in the use of it. And I remember that feeling. So I think for me, stuff like this, where I'm it's kind of similar to 12th step in 12-step programs. It's like carrying on the message. Working with people who are going through it is such a great reminder that I don't want to go back there.
Yeah. Yeah, I quit for a while. I didn't go through 12 steps or anything like that. I quit for a little while after I had my baby. I quit, of course, when I was pregnant with him, but I quit for a while afterwards, and I got zero peer support, but I didn't drink. And, I eventually reached the point where I was just like, I'm miserable. Why am I not drinking? But it never was the same. It never was the same as before. It just took me down a darker, more morose path after all those months clean.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can relate to that.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Oh, Carol, you returned to use after you got clean. Did I understand that right, or did I mishear you?
Well, like I said, I made a conscious choice that I was not going to drink anymore, because I thought I can do this, because I'd been pregnant, wasn't drinking during pregnancy, and thought, well, I can keep this up. But I didn't get any peer support. I didn't do any programs. I didn't do anything like that. I just quit, and I guess you'd say I was on a dry drunk, to the point where I actually where I said to myself, you know what? I'm so freaking miserable. Why am I even bothering to be sober? What's the point? There was no recovery in that time. And it was months and months and months and months, I want to say it was at least, even after I had my baby, it was at least 6 months where I didn't drink anything. And then, yeah. And, but, yeah, it never was the same. I couldn't do it the same as I did it before, and it wouldn't affect me the same as before.
Do you think you had postnatal depression?
I know I had. In fact, not only did I have postpartum depression, I had postpartum psychosis. I was actually hallucinating things. It was very scary.
Wow.
It was very scary.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's what I ended up having, but I think that's what kicked me into it, was the postnatal depression and also the lack of control over a baby. And I had psychosis too. I thought my partner was God. Wow, Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Look like Jesus.
Yeah,
and I was writing to Oprah.
Yeah, that I had the whole Christ complex where I was my baby was the Christ child, thank goodness, and not Satan.
Isn't that strange? A lot of women in psychosis, because Christ complex is a big part of psychosis. Generally, I don't know why, but it just seems to be. I mean, everyone I was in a mental health hospital with, once I woke up, I'm there going, "Oh shit, that's what they're talking about." So it's like, but a lot of women actually put that complex onto somebody else, like their child or
Yeah.
your partner. But whereas a lot
Yeah.
of men actually say, no, it's me. I'm
Yeah.
God. I wonder what that is. I just thought that was funny. But I just found that to be true in hospital as well. It was the men who were walking around thinking they were God, and the women were like, not always, but I didn't come across any woman that thought she was God. So
Yeah. 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 So that was a thing for a little while. And I'm sure there was that, and I went through a full on emotional breakdown because I wasn't raising my child. I chose a couple to adopt him, and it was just a double whammy situation. So those things might have had a lot to do with the reason why drinking wasn't the same as before I got pregnant. You know,
you had a major loss as well,
right?
So
It
it
was,
does change it, and that's what I found.
yeah,
Yeah, is that I used to drink for pleasure, and then after a certain thing, I drank to forget. I guess you could say, like there was a deep pain that I was trying to heal, I guess, through my substance, which was alcohol.
right.
And I
I
think
like
that's true
this.
of a lot of people.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, obviously, because there's a lot of us having to recover from some of this stuff. I like what Brazy Girl's saying here. Maybe is brain wiring, genetics, but some people get through life's hurdles without adopting a vice. Then there are us. Yes, Brazy Girl. Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if that's true, because you got to wonder. There's a lot of different things that people do that that are addictive but aren't damaging. Like I'd
Yeah.
say what do you call it? Hobbies and all that sort of stuff. Some people collect things, say fabric. So
But they're not
I
they're
don't
not
know.
they're not looking
That's
they're not
but
looking to soothe something
It's
inside of
socially
them,
it's socially acceptable.
but that could be true.
But I have
Yeah, but that
food.
could be,
I soothe
yeah.
with
There's
food,
food's
and
another
I
one.
soothe with fabric. I mean, let's
Okay.
be
Yeah,
real. If I
but
didn't have a stash of fabric, I'd probably be buying more if I could afford it.
Social media is also a big one.
What?
yeah, social media is a big
Yeah.
one. Gaming
It
is
is.
another one.
And
There's a lot of socially acceptable things that people do that we
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, but it's just like I think there's a lot of different things that people do to self-soothe, because that's what I think a lot of it is. It's
that's true.
self-soothing.
That's true.
That
That's true.
that just don't cause the same sort of problems. Like it's only a problem when it becomes a problem. And lots of things that people do. Don't, like my father. I don't like my dad, but he collected. He wasn't an addict at all. Well, that could be debatable. But just say his addiction was like a deviant type of behavior, I guess. But but in life that everybody saw visibly, he collected Jeeps, like what that ad, you bought a Jeep, those sort of Jeeps. He collected those. He had like 7 or 8 of them, which was ridiculous. No one can ever drive that many cars, but he just collected them. And that's a different, there's people who collect cars or boats or little cars or Warhammer things. There's a whole bunch of different things that people do that is,
That's true.
addictive. Yeah. Mine
Mayonnaise
used to be
Entertainment
reading.
says, yes, I had to stop this family cycle of drug addicts. I did it for my kids. They saved my life. It's the least I could do. That's the same way that I felt, as far as quitting, while I was pregnant, and, just kind of honoring that life that my body brought forth and honoring that body that did that. I thought that would be not drinking would be a good way to do that, to honor that. But, yeah, I should have probably reached out to somebody for some help in that moment, that I had that thought of, why am I doing this? This sucks,
Part of why I didn't want to have children was break the cycle. And it's just like, for me, it wasn't an addiction, necessarily an addiction, but it's breaking the cult cycle. It's breaking the abuse cycle. It's because I know it's so easy to do what we're raised with and are comfortable with.
Yeah.
I wanted to just cut that, and it doesn't mean I've fixed everything, but
Right.
it's part of why I didn't have kids. I wasn't going to pass that on. This way, I kind of figured the cycle ends right here with me.
Right on. Right on.
My daughter's the same. She wants to break the cycle of mental health problems that we have. She doesn't want to pass on her mental health issues. And I said to her, that's no reason to not have a child, really, because I had mental health issues and I birthed you, you beautiful, darling, perfect child, you. She doesn't feel that way about
But
that. She doesn't
mental
feel
health
she's perfect.
issues, I think mental health issues are really common. I think a lot of people struggle with whether it be a mental health issue or an addictive behavior. I think a lot more people struggle with it than it's ever talked about or ever acknowledged because it's either socially acceptable or they're undiagnosed. I'm the first member of my family to ever have mental health issues diagnosed. I show up as neurodivergent. I cannot possibly be the only one in my family who's got this.
Right.
And both of my parents have had issues with anxiety and depression. I think a lot of people don't do anything. So I don't think we're maybe as out there, or I don't know if that's not the right word. I don't think we're as unusual as sometimes it feels. Because I think there's a lot more people struggle.
That's why peer support is so helpful and important.
Well, yeah.
Even when we do take the steps and make the decision to break the cycle and get mental health treatment, there's so much stigma associated with it that it's very challenging to come out of the recovery closet, in a sense, the mental health recovery. I found it much easier to come out of the substance misuse recovery closet and talk about things in Alcoholics Anonymous, for example. But when I came out of the mental health recovery closet, I lost a lot of support from people who I trusted in the fellowship. And that was a tough pill to swallow. Maybe that's not the best choice of words there, but.
Well, depression. Apparently, there's 5% of the population at any given point that suffers depression. Now, for women who have recently given birth, it jumps up to 10%. And for psychotic depression, which is depression that's so bad it doesn't mean you're an axe murderer. It just means you have hallucinations and other symptoms. Yeah, it's like 4 out of 1,000, but it jumps up to anywhere between 14 and 30 people in 1,000 after age 60. So, I mean, it's rare, but it's not unheard of. It's not something that I'm going through this, nobody else is. 5%. I still bet that's probably a pretty low figure where most people don't go and identify as it because of all the negative stigma around it.
See, that's what I was going to say. I don't believe it's just 5%.
Yeah, I bet that's.
It must be higher. But I was also treated differently because I was the first one to be all open about having it. So I went to hospital the first time. My dad forcibly removed me from the house where I was living next to the beach and all that sort of stuff because that's what he did. So I ended up having to go live with my father again for the first time since I was 17, and I just had a baby. And so I went to hospital, all that sort of stuff, and then he was walking around saying, don't tell anybody that you'd been in hospital, because he'd been in hospital back in the day and it was a bit of a stigma. And his mother had been in hospital. Like his mother had that electric shock treatment before it ended up being magenta. That's how severe it was for our family back then. And so I was walking around going, because every time my dad tells me to do something, I do the opposite. It's just what I've always done. And so I was walking around telling everybody. And it's lucky I did, because there's one particular person who offered me St. John's wort. And I said, no, sorry, I've been diagnosed bipolar. I'm on all these different medications, and St. John's wort is not healthy to have. My dad's like, Rah! At me. in front of everybody. And then that's when I realized, no, I can't live here with my dad. And a couple of months later I moved. But ever since then, I've been treated as a delicate little crazy flower.
Wow.
That's how my whole family's treated me. They don't treat me as someone who just had a bit of an episode and went back to being my normal self, which is slightly crazy, but good crazy. But not like don't treat me like I'm not a person just because I've been in hospital.
Yeah.
And that's kind of continued on until this day. My family, not my friends, they treat me like a delicate, stupid little flower. And I'm probably smarter than all of them. And I don't mean to say that like in a horrible
No,
way.
I
Like
feel
they're all
you.
very intelligent.
I feel you.
But and it's just the way it's turned out. It's just, and I'm so annoyed because just because I've had this happen or I've had these issues or I've been abused, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. I'm still me. I've still got a mind. Don't treat me differently just because I've been through stuff,
Yeah.
And that's what I find really difficult now is that I still get treated as this delicate little flower and I'm not, well, I kind of am.
Hey, I mean, you lived through all that mess, you lived through all that stuff. How would you be delicate? You lived.
That's what that's what I was trying to say. If I was so delicate, would I have survived?
That's
Would I
right.
still be? And I'm, the basis of me is still the same. I'm still this snarky, sarcastic person that I've always been, and it's just, and I don't understand why I get treated differently, and it's something that I've never understood, and that's why I treat everyone as much as I can the same, from children to adults. Everyone gets treated exactly the same.
I'm going to read these. I'm so moved by everyone. Izzy E. I'm so moved by everyone's strength. It's not always fun, but look at us doing our best, breaking cycles, getting up every day and doing the thing. And I like this thing from Monique. Eric Jan Harmon's Hello Mirror was an eye opener for me. Just because you're sober doesn't mean you feel better. You're sober. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I think you end up feeling a bit worse because the thing that you're using to cover whatever it was you're feeling is not there anymore. So you have to feel it all. And that's what I struggled with, was the feelings. Is that I'm like, why? Now I feel everything and I don't want to because I'm not big on strong feelings and I just strongly feel everything all the time because I don't have anything to numb it.
Well, I'm so glad I found you guys. It's still a little weird to hear all the support. I've never been around people who, anyway, yeah, and I probably robbed myself of a lot of support. I chose it. I don't know if many of you know this, but I was about 7 months in to AA when I realized it wasn't going to be a long-term solution for me. And plus I was all up in, I was a brand new Christian and I was all about that. And I wouldn't stop talking about that. And they kept getting on to me after the meetings saying, it's not, this or that God, it's the God of our understanding. And I said, yeah, so anyway, long story short, I chose extreme religion. And it gave me a something else to focus on. And that's probably a lot of how I stayed sober. Plus, there's a lot of peer pressure there to not be a total, delinquent or whatever, you're in those circles, you're not going to be tempted to drink and use drugs because nobody else is doing that. It's all about the Lord and it's all about church and it's all about, so that's what I did instead of peer support after about 7 months of peer support. And I don't remember.
Well, the whole cult is they kept you so busy you didn't have time or energy to go to any of the other stuff.
That's true.
And I don't like that you called yourself a delinquent. You are not a delinquent.
No,
don't make
I didn't say that I was a delinquent. I said that I would not be in a situation where I would be in, forced or as tempted to be a delinquent, it's like all of my focus was about the cult and about the, I remember how bad the stigma used to be. I feel like it's getting better, but we've still got a long way to go on that, Miss Sunrise Dawn says. Also, she says, I remember as a teenager, one of my friends had to go into a mental health facility for a bit. I remember the entire small town whispering about it. I see now how hard that must have been for her. Yeah, I was in a small college town, and we used to have people that would, have to go to the local mental hospital. And yeah, there was even a little bit of whispering, even in a college town of, something like 50,000 people. But it was a small insular community within the community,
Yeah.
I've always had that thing where I don't let people whisper. I'm like, what was that?
Nice.
I'm sorry, Terry. I'm sorry, Terry.
I relate to being sharing because I am finally at an employer, one of the many things where there's issues if they fire me for specific reasons. So talking about mental health, saying I go to a therapist, like every Monday at 8 a.m., I have therapy. Everybody knows that's what I'm doing at Monday at 8 a.m. Talking about that I'm polyamorous. I only have one partner right now, but I'm polyamorous and who knows what will happen. But talking about it and is trying to make it safe for other people who are whatever you identify as. My therapist said, because you know people in the kink community and are aware of some of that stuff, you're kinkier than most people, which I think is hilarious. But it's just being open about stuff like that, just because I think we've hidden it for so long and we've made it such a stigma. And maybe talking about it, because work can't fire me for saying that. Work can't fire me for who I am. As long as I'm not screwing up my job, they can't do anything. And so talking about it maybe makes the stigma just a little less, because not everybody's going to be in a position like I am.
Right.
So, and I kind of feel like I have to do it for everybody else. I don't know if anybody else has felt that way, but kind of feeling like I have to. Just to make
mine is.
There's a few avenues that I feel the same way, Rebecca, and we are, similar into those aspects with the polyamory. But then also the mental health. And then at this point, personally in my family, I don't know what the actual dates are, but in my family, addictions were recognized far sooner than mental health. And we just said, oh, they're an alcoholic, and we just kind of wiped it away. So I feel like I need to speak up mainly for that Tara was talking about earlier. Like that's the point that I really feel strong about right now, is that it was easier to be an addict than it is to have mental health issues, and to be open about it and honest about it.
Right.
Yeah. But I feel like, I feel like in this community, in the peer support community, we all have that aspect of, we need to speak up for somebody else. We need to pave that path for somebody else, because what if I would have found a person like this, or what if I had this resource? And I think that slowly stigma is starting to go away, slowly, but there's still a lot of stigma. As we saw earlier in the chat, people call me an addict, or the girl that used to drink, or the sober one, I think in time it might go away, but for the time being, we have to figure out how to pave the path for the next person.
Being sober is also a stigma in some cases, which is...
It is. Yeah. I think that's a lot of what attracted me to religion too, is because there wasn't a stigma about being sober there.
I'm sorry, Tara, you were getting ready to say something when Becca and I were talking about how common depression is versus how underreported the number seems. You were getting ready to say something.
I mean, I could fly off the cuff and go on for a while, because that's just how I roll, but I don't remember what it was that I was going to say.
I love that about you, Tara. all of the knowledge is amazing.
I would say maybe this is part of what I was thinking was that a lot of times people don't understand that they have a challenge with mental health, and they might just think it's normal. And if it's heavily stigmatized, or if it is a family cycle, they might not be inclined to seek out treatment.
Right. That's true.
Exactly. If you grew up with it, you don't know that it's not normal behavior, which is something that when I was younger, I found out that people's families aren't like mine. Their sisters and brother aren't also their cousins because their dad got around with sisters, and I was walking around telling everybody, and my entire family's like, don't tell anyone. So, but like that's one of the reasons why I won't keep a secret about what I'm going through, apart from what I have to legally, because I'm done keeping other people's secrets. I kept my dad's secret, well, not very well, because I am the secret. For years, I didn't go around telling everybody what my dad did until I had a little sister and a partner, and I looked at them, and they were the same age as my dad and my mum, and I would have been my auntie at the time age, and I just looked at my 13-year-old sister and my 23-year-old partner and just couldn't fathom how anyone could allow this to happen. Walking around going, not only is it my dad's fault, it's my mum's family's fault. It's everybody who was walking around saying this was okay. And I got angry. And that's actually when I started to be rageful against things like this. But I just can't keep a secret about stuff. And it's a personal thing. Yeah, I really want to help people too. But I'm kind of being selfish about it, because I've done it. So I've kept other people's secrets for so long. I just want to be truthful. I just want to be truthful as much as I possibly can. And
I respect that.
And that might be a selfish thing. And sure, I can't even say I got sober for my kids. So maybe I'm super selfish.
I wouldn't say it's selfish. I think there's a lot of shame that comes with a lot of these things, and talking about it reduces some of the shame and kind of, I don't know about, it eases it. And I think mentally, like for mental health, that's important. So I was gonna say, I don't think you're being selfish, because you're taking care of yourself. You're doing lots of research, which you're sharing with all of us, and all that great knowledge it's making a huge difference. So pat on your back. Just a little.
For real. For real.
Yeah.
A crystal hug. Crystal hug.
I don't think it's bad. I think selfish has been misused a lot. There's a way you kind of have to be a little bit selfish, but not in a way that's gonna step on other people's toes. Obviously,
That's right.
Because if you're not selfish, you're never gonna do what you need to do for you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
It can be positive. It's just kind of like anger has been seen as a negative. It can be a positive as well, right? And I agree with you fully, Cosmic. I think that in your case specifically, your selfishness has been only a good thing. I don't see it as a negative thing.
I don't either.
Well, it's only really been quite recently me realizing that's what I'm doing. But I think everyone should take a moment to think about what it is they want in their lives and what it will take to get there, and how you can do it in the best way for everybody. But sometimes it can't be in the best way for everybody, because you're never going to please everybody all the time. There's always going to be someone who's a little bit mad about something.
Not everybody.
I know what I want in life.
What do you want?
I want a color palette.
That's what I was going to say earlier. Look at pastels. Look at the same color palettes that you're looking at, but also think of them in the pastel aspect, because that also keeps people calm. So for the avenue in which you're taking this for the peer support, I think it would be beneficial to be taking a look at the pastels.
The biggest, I have looked at the pastels. That was like my first my first prototype. The problem with pastels is that for YouTube thumbnails, I'm having a very challenging time coming up with a YouTube thumbnail that I like with pastels. So here
Can
we
I
are.
ask you a question? What
Please do. I would love that.
what software are you using?
I use Canva.
Okay.
I'm just on the free version right now.
Okay. When
I'm just looking
come
at
back.
soothing colors, and
go ahead, Cosmo.
sorry, I was you know your shirt color that you're wearing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually considered a soothing color on the color palette, and it's kind of bold and bright, and it's a nice color. And it would look good on your wall. Just don't wear your shirt at the same time.
You know what? I was looking at some of the things that business consultant sent me, and actually, I found this one on my own. There was an article I found that had some negative traits or characteristics of all the different colors, and of course, I had to look at the negative things also. Mm-hmm. And turquoise, it is associated with narcissism. And I was like, oh no, that is the last thing that I want.
No,
and
nobody knows that though.
I love turquoise though.
Same.
You're the only one who knows that. Whoever wrote that article. There's two people who know that. You and who wrote it.
Okay, true. And now all of you. And so now what's going to happen if I choose turquoise to be a part of the color palette? Now what's going to happen now that I just went and outed myself?
I think you're thinking about that a little too hard.
I would do a little bit of research to prove that person wrong. That's ridiculous.
Well, you could also be creating a customer base through suggestion. I mean, think of it that way.
Yeah, but if I'm I love the color turquoise. I love the color turquoise.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite colors. Does that mean I'm a narcissist? Now I'm going to think about this too much.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
I refuse to believe that. I refuse.
Okay, I will try to forget. I will try to forget that I saw that.
The Harry Potter
one
taking the memory out of your brain,
So when you think about it, like that sort of color is like something that brings about the ocean and soothing waves, and
yes. And I came up with a bomber color palette that I liked from the photograph that I put behind me of the tree sometimes, or it's in like all my videos. It's the tree that's behind me.
Yeah.
I took that photograph in Big Sur and I created a color palette from that photograph that I like. But it doesn't necessarily fall in line with what I'm seeing mental health care providers create. And so I'm sort of in this space, they want more pastels, and I'm kind of stuck on how many colors I want in the palette too, because some palettes I see are 5 colors. You can use 3, like what Rebecca was showing in that wheel.
Or 4. You could do 5. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, no rules. But Aja, you were going to say something.
Yeah, when I come back, Tara, I'll reach out to you because through the free version, I've been able to find some ways to change the tone of the color, which isn't very easy to find on Canva. It says that, portions of of the program it's pro, but then if you go down just a little bit further, it's a free portion, and it's hidden in all the pro stuff. So when I come back,
yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I would be really interested. I have been playing with like lightening the shades a little bit by like clicking on the color and then like using the arrows to go a little bit away from the color that I selected, and that I just haven't found the right combination yet, and I don't know that I am going to be the one to find it, or if I'm going to have to outsource that and kind of tell them what my vision is. And
well, see, there's this website called Colors, and it looks like Coolers. So it's COOLORS, and it's a free one, and you can push a space bar and it comes up with a whole range of different color palettes that work within each other. Heaps, like push space bar, keep pushing space bar, pick a color if you like, push space bar again, and it will come up with a whole range of different palettes.
It's called Coolers?
Yeah, COOLORS.co.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's got a whole range. You can That's free, and there's a pro app if you want, but I'll just go the free one. And it's actually got all the codes for paints and everything as well, like the actual color numbers. So if you ever want to go, because that's international. If it's a code, you just put it in, and they put it into the little paint machine, and it'll come up.
Yeah,
I love the paint machines. Have you ever been and got them shake up little paints?
my first my permanent sponsor that I worked with in Alcoholics Anonymous, she worked in the paint design section, so she always had paint stories and was covered in it constantly.
I love the paint. I love paint. I actually want to start getting into painting again. It's been a while.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Because color is my thing. I used to be the one who'd do all the what are those called? The backgrounds in the drama. Yeah, so because I
props.
can match colors real easy. Yeah, I do all the props, like, because I'd have to be. It was high school, so they tended to do the same things over and over again. So, but it was me who'd do all the touching up, because I have like my autism and my ADHD, my OCD. I'd match colors perfectly, and colors are my thing. And my daughter she's the one who does the coloring in over there. But it's just, and once you know colors that match and complementary and all that sort of stuff, then everything else comes easy. And if you like it, that you have to like it, because you're the one who's going to sit in it every day.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the thing with the color palette too. I'm like, if I don't love it, then I'm not going to be as psyched as I am right now trying to create it, even though I've put probably way too much time and energy into it already, and I don't even feel close. But Stasia, I wanted to say thank you for offering to teach me how to do that.
Not a problem.
That was really kind of you.
Not a problem.
Exercise that right hemisphere for once. Yeah. Little Miss Logic.
And then I also had a question. I have known of a few businesses, not just in the mental health field, but a few businesses who would have like 3 different business cards. And that was kind of like, they would use those 3 patterns. They didn't have to settle on one. The logo was the same, but the color palette was different. So I'm wondering if that could also be something to think about if you have multiple that you like, so then that way you're not stuck on one, you know what I mean?
Interesting. So I don't want to, I am going to share this because I want to share as much as I can without, putting myself in danger. But for the color thing, I've met with 2 business consultants now, and one of them advised me that color, actually it was not business consultants. This was before I started working with them. Someone else who has a business background, a marketing background, told me that the colors were actually more important than the font or anything else to keep that consistent across all platforms. That's why I've been trying to hone in on the design of the thumbnails, because I want to stay consistent with like the business cards and I want it now, man. It's like the wiring of my brain. I want it now. Someone asked me, I was at Trader Joe's today, and someone asked me for a business card, and I was like, you know what? I'm working on it. But they said they thought they could remember my handle. I offered to write it down, but they said they could remember it, so I guess that's good.
Who was it that wants it now and wants it all? Oh, Veruca Salt.
Chinchillas also.
Oh yeah. I want it now.
Come on, please, Daddy. I love that movie. That's a good one. Although when they're going through that weird tunnel, nightmare fuel.
The chocolate tunnel.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the original. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I love watching somebody who's too good at math go through this process. I just realized how entertaining this can be to observe this process.
Well, thanks. Thanks for that. I appreciate that, Ben. Now that's even more fire under my you-know-what to get this thing done. So I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Whatever motivates you.
I'm super motivated right now. I feel like it was Crystal who was talking about her eyes bleeding, and I'm certainly not trying to make light of this, but I kind of felt like that was going to happen to me last night. I was staring at my screen for so long, and I wasn't even being productive anymore. I was just staring, trying to figure it out in my head.
I was doing that, but I was playing Animal Crossing. But I was being productive because I was collecting fruit. It's a game.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I need to run. I'm super fatigued. Even though I took the afternoon off, I slept for 2 hours and I'm super fatigued. So my friend Sarah's not coming until tomorrow now, but I need to go get some food, and I'm going to crash early probably. But
It's Friday there, hey.
you say behave?
No, yeah, behave. No, don't behave. It's Friday there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, yes.
What's going here?
I was going to say that reads, well-behaved women rarely make history, to remind myself to be bold. Yeah, if you need to make a change, maybe do what I did. Chop all your hair off. Go cut your hair and lose about 18 to 21 inches. I'm teasing. Do what it works for you. But yeah, I need to go and get some food, and then I'm going to rest. So
Sounds like a plan.
it was great talking to you all. Have a good night.
Good night, Rebecca.
Thanks for showing me that wheel.
Bye.
Well, you guys, I don't know about you, but I feel like I've had a meeting. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah.
I feel the same. I feel like I could keep talking forever, but I know this meeting has to end sometime.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like I've had a meeting. I needed it today, but in a positive way. So I really appreciate you all. I really, really do.
Right on. It was a good one, too. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it's back to the drawing board, folks.
Right on.
I love you all very much.
Me too.
And I hope to talk to you soon.
All right.
Yes.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
And I'm going to do the same thing, guys. Oh, sorry.
Mayonnaise, I want to thank you. Thank you for, for trusting us with what you were going through.
Thanks for being here.
You still are. But, thank you very much. Hello, Black Cad.
And I'm going to take off myself.
I'm going to head off too. I'm going to try and go to the beach.
Very long week. Oops, sorry, Paz. I did it again.
It's all right. You started first.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to take off myself. It's been a very long week, and I'm feeling the energy completely drained, and get some food, and I'm going to crash early tonight, too, for an early train tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Yes, I'm going to see, because it's Saturday here. So I'm going to, and it's a really nice day, a bit bright.
Right on.
So I'm going to see if I can go to the beach.
That sounds
It's
amazing.
still warm weather. Yeah. Well, I don't have enough people on my YouTube yet, and I can't be bothered trying to do a live. But I'll see if I do go. I'll see if I can take a video.
You have a channel now?
Traffic.
Do you have a channel?
For ages.
Oh, Are you putting content up?
Nah.
Oh.
It's got content on it from ages ago. It's not this channel. It's not this name. It's out of my original channel. But yeah, I haven't really bothered trying to do anything about it, because then I'll have to do something about it to keep it running, and so I don't have that energy right now. So if I do go, I'll try and take videos and photos though, because it's really nice.
Right on.
All right, guys.
That would be great.
Love yous.
Love you too.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
I really love watching Tara struggle, being she's so good at math. Watching her go through. But I do hope that she comes up with something that she's pleased with. It'll be interesting to see.
I'm wondering if someone told her that just to mess with her.
Well, yeah, I was looking that up online, and I had to dig for it, And the places I saw it, there's a few places that said negative. The negative was it could be perceived as maybe a little childish or naive, but yeah, I didn't see any references to it being narcissistic. But yeah, I wonder about. It sounds like I just wonder where she found that.
Yeah, for real. I feel like it was someone that told her that,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. And so I'm inclined, if it's someone who told her that, I'm inclined to say they pulled it out of their rear end.
Well, and it amazes me that body language, you run into this all the time where people say, "Oh, when people look to to their left, they're lying." It's like that's not what it means at all. It means you're with most people. Now, people's eye location changes like crazy. I don't know if you ever see Tara, but when she's remembering visual or what do you call it, visual um, or things that she's heard, remembering.
Yeah.
I mean, most people look here and here. She looks here and here. And so, yeah, eye location means different things to different people. And she's there. I won't pick on her anymore. Um, but no, I love her. Love watching her eye movement just because it's Christy. She looks in the wrong location, but that shows you you can't. And that's the reason why when you profile people, you have to get to know the person and then just know where they go when they look. What's the
Mhm.
fifth word of the Star Spangled Banner?
Yeah.
Things like that. You watch where their eyes go, because just because somebody looks to the left, most often for most people, that means they're looking to construct something. They don't know
Mhm.
how to say it. They're trying to put words to it. Doesn't mean they're lying. So
That's
yeah, I
right.
mean, you can find that much disagreement on body language, psychology of color. Oh, I'm surprised I didn't find a ton of sites that said, "Oh, it causes diarrhea," or who knows what. But okay,
Oh
that's a little
my.
childish. But anyhow, I hope you have an awesome day, and I hope
Hope you
that
do too.
I
Have
hope
a good weekend.
I hope your therapy donkey is full of wisdom for you today. And yeah, and the bird has been chatting my ear off. I don't know half of what he's saying, but have this just real cardinal, pretty little bird. Fear of humans whatsoever. I'll go out and I'll feed them. They all look pregnant, but they're just fat. To the local food circle of life, because you feed the quail, feed the coyotes, eat the quail because they can't run anymore. Circle of life. But yeah, this cardinal lands on the fence with an arm shot, and he just sits there and he's chirping his cute little beak at me. And it's like, I could grab you right now. And he just sits there,
Aw,
but yeah,
I
he's
love
a cool little
that.
bird. Yes.
Aw,
So
that's
he's probably
amazing.
demanding food, is what it is. So,
Right
but
on.
have a great day.
You too, Ben. All right, you guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Next meeting will be Monday. My husband will be very happy that he can boss me around on some project or another, and we're going to repair a barn door tomorrow if it doesn't rain. Thank you guys for a wonderful meeting and for a wonderful community. I hope to see you again on Monday, next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.